All right, so I think it's about that time to start. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Webinar Wednesday. My name is Franklin. I'm the Product App Specialist for Kits and your webinar host. Now, we're in the thick of November now, and the holiday season is just upon us. So sooner or later, it's going to be goodbye work and hello wine and food. So anyhow, before that all starts, what we have for you today is a quick session on using Kits as a product learning tool. Now, in case you have any questions, what you can do is you can submit them in the chat box. That's going to be located in the GoToWebinar control panel just on the right side of your screen. And what I will do is review them at the end of the webinar. Now, just as a reminder, the next free training day is November 8th. That is tomorrow. So if you're new to Kits or would like just to go over the basics with me, then feel free to sign up by clicking on the link in the email invite that Julie had sent out, or what you can do is you can also go to the Kits Knowledge Center to register. All right, so what we're going to be looking at again today is the Kits basics, and that's using Kits as a product learning tool. First, we're going to talk about how to integrate Kits into your daily workflow, all right? Understanding the type of salesperson you are and what you need to do to prepare for the projects that you're going to be working on. And then we're going to look at the Kit's basic use. First, we're going to look at the sync screen, what it all means, how you can sync those great catalogs and planning typicals, and then how you can maintain them and the best practices to doing so. And then we're going to take a look quickly at product lookup, what this all means and how I can use Kits basically as a learning tool, especially if there's new catalogs and collections. Again, the new year is upon us, and new product may be dropping. There may be price changes, coming in quick for the 2019 year. So these are all things that, again, we can use Kits as a great digital resource in order to understand these changes and also learning more about product. And then also understanding the Kit's presentation views to allow us to exploring that product. All right, so that being said, let's get on with today's webinar. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do now is I'm just going to quickly open up Kits. Now, in case you're new to Kits, and this is something that, and this is one of the first sessions that you're running with me, this is the project gallery screen. This is normally the start screen anytime you open up your Kits collaborator, whether it's on an iPad platform or Windows 10. And what you'll need to do to access the content that's available to you is just follow the navigation bar to the right. And here we have a wonderful sync link that can take us there. We also have this notification bell, which will indicate if there are any specific updates to the content that we've already subscribed to. Now, Kits will only notify you when you're using the app because the features are in-app only. And also, whenever you're connecting to our cloud, you'll be required to connect to a strong and stable Wi-Fi. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and tap on the sync link. And this takes us into the catalog subscription screen. And anytime you access the sync link, you can see here where it's retrieving synchronization status. Because what it's right now, what it's actually doing is it's calling up at the cloud and it's knocking on its door and it's saying, hey, cloud, what updates do I have currently for my account? And so right now, what Kits is doing is it's going to retrieve any information that's hanging in there that's ready for you to update to your device. Okay, and then as soon as the catalog subscription screen populates, what you see here are the publisher or the manufacturer list on the left-hand side, and any of the content that's within those particular categories on the left. Okay, so here again, you can see my screen is quite different than yours, and that's because I have access to all our accounts. Simply enough, all you need to do is tap on the manufacturer you wish to download from, and on the right-hand side, we'll refresh all the catalogs that are available. Here you can see under All Steel, I have 21 catalogs that are available to me, in which 5 of those catalogs I've already downloaded. If I look on the right-hand side, I can see which ones I've downloaded because they have these nice big blue check, and under each catalog name is a blank status notification line, indicating that I've already downloaded that particular content. Now, the reason why I wanted to make sure that I specify that is because you can simply enough tap on one of the radio buttons and add that content to the invisible sync list. Even though it has a big blue check, you can see here that the status notification line still indicates that the download is available, and that's because I haven't downloaded this particular catalog down to my iPad yet. Okay, so again, anytime you tap on the radio button, that adds that particular item to the invisible sync list. In case you need to remove anything, all you need to do is tap on the catalog you wish to remove, and that will add that to an invisible remove list. And once you're ready to sync, all you need to do is tap sync now, and that will begin the sync process. Okay, now just in case, as I mentioned before, all the features are done in-app only, so the only place that Kits will notify you if you have any pending updates to the content that you've already subscribed to, it will either notify you here in the catalog subscription screen under the status notification line. And you can see here under these two galleries that I have the updates available. And also in the notification bell, which I talked about in the beginning. Okay, again, all the features are done in-app only. And when you're actually syncing down any content, you'll need to remain in the app. If you navigate out of the app, what that does is it stops your sync, and it may corrupt what's actually going to your device. Okay, so you'll want to make sure that you remain in, allow the sync to complete. And so what I recommend that you do, and this is really dependent on how often you use the tool. If you're a basic user and you're just starting off and you use, let's say, Kits once, twice a week, then doing a weekly sync will make sure that you're updating your device and you're maintaining a good working device in all the catalogs that you're subscribing to. If you're an intermediate user, you might want to make that a little bit more frequent, maybe twice a week. If you're a power user like myself, then you're going to want to do a sync every morning. And what I do is, regardless if you're syncing every day, twice a week, 3 times a week, or once a week, what I like to do is I like to make sure that my device is plugged in. I open up my Kits. You know, I don't even bother with having to look at if there's any updates. I go directly to the catalog subscription screen, and then I go ahead and I sync now. If there's any kind of content I need for that day, or maybe I need to prep for a meeting, then I'll make sure that I sign the radio button so that I can add it to my sync. And then right before I grab my coffee or check out emails, I'll run that sync so that while I'm doing other things, Kits is working in the background. And now when I'm ready, Kits will be ready. Okay. Now, one thing, depending on which device you use, if you're using an iPad, then what I do recommend is that you don't sync no more than 3 to 5 catalogs or galleries at a time. Again, this is so that it doesn't bog down your user time because of having to wait for a sync to complete. If you try to sync more catalogs, let's say up to 10 catalogs and galleries, it really comes down to how great your Wi-Fi environment is and how large is the data that's actually being sent down, because every manufacturer is different. Okay. All right, well, that's pretty much it for syncing. So again, what you need to take away from this is ensuring that you remain in the app anytime you run a sync. You want to limit the content, but you also want to make sure that you manage. That's the idea of the catalog subscription screen is the manufacturers that you see, you already have a subscription to. Now it's up to you whether or not you want to activate that subscription, but you can manage that anytime you want. It's there, so you can sync on the fly as long as you're connected to a strong and stable Wi-Fi. So what I would do is I would always recommend that you keep any catalogs that you currently require and remove anything that you don't. Okay, it doesn't hurt to keep them on your device. Now just keep in mind, anytime that the manufacturer goes through an update, you're also updating all the content. So that can also, you know, at those times, especially, what we find is a lot of times users will wait till the last minute to update their device and realize that there's quite a bit of content that they need to sync or update, which really bogs down their sync time. So again, if you just make that sync process part of your daily workflow, again, depending on the type of user you are, if you do it frequently or if you do it once a week, that will maintain a good device as well as being able to efficiently use the tool. All right, so let's go back into the project gallery screen by tapping on projects at the left corner there. And now what I want to do is, now that I have the content downloaded from the catalog subscription screen down to my device, I want to go ahead and I'm green to this manufacturer, and I need to learn product. Okay, so we always talk about kits, really looking at the basic use of kits, and that's being able to do product lookup. But when we really take a look at having to be able to pull product from a manufacturer's catalog and interact with it, what we're really doing is we're learning more about a product. And we know that in this industry, product knowledge is king. Okay, and the reason why I say that is because even though we have digital resources such as kits that can allow us to easily access product and take a look at it, it really comes down to the seller and what they know of the product and how they can actually use that to find solutions and to sell. Okay, kits will only make it easy for you to access the content. All right, so there are things that we can do with kits. We can actually, obviously, the main part is using kits to create the scenes and create those wonderful visuals. But the other parts that we can take advantage of is the fact that we can learn product, especially the fact that we have access to countless manufacturers, but we're all guilty of this, and myself included. We like to navigate to the manufacturer that we know best, the ones that we know that we can easily sell because we know the product by heart and we've used it many times before with success, and we'll always gravitate to that particular manufacturer being our sort of our cushion there. But what you can really do is you can essentially use kits to really see all the different products provided by the manufacturers that you have access to, so that you can truly provide your client with great solutions based on what you have currently. And I know sometimes certain accounts dictate which manufacturer you need to use. Obviously, the dealership that you work with may also dictate which manufacturer you'll have to use. But then at the end of the day, the budget is always going to dictate exactly which manufacturer is going to be best and which products can use, because obviously there's a need that we need to fulfill, and that's the budget for the client. Okay, so first thing is, if I tap on the Add Item button here, it takes me into the Add Item menu, and automatically the catalog filter will populate, showing me a submenu of all the manufacturers that I've currently downloaded. As you can see here, I have Allsteel, Arkbell, Global, Hahn, Herman Miller, and Laurel, as well as the Planning Typicals gallery of those same manufacturers that I have access to, okay, and a little bit more, right? Even though I don't have the National or the Steelcase or the Technion catalogs downloaded to my device, I still can access their products and their galleries using kits. Okay, so that's something that is important to understand. You don't need the catalogs in order to interact with the gallery items. The only time you'll require to have the catalogs is if you're editing the typicals and you need to pull down or you need to replace items, you need to replace items in the typical, then you'll obviously need that catalog or those catalogs in order to do so. All right. So here, if I go ahead and tap on Allsteel, you can see all the catalogs that I've downloaded within Allsteel. So I have seating, desking, I have tables catalog, and I have work surfaces. And in the background, you can see here that anytime I tap on one of the catalogs, the background will refresh, and it will show me all the products that are found within that particular catalog. You can see here it's all seating. Okay. So one thing that I like to do is I like to explore the catalogs. I like to see the products, and I like to learn a little bit more about them. If I tap on one of the seats here, you can see here it takes me into a full screen mode. And what I get is I get the model number on the left corner here, and then I also get the short summary describing the product itself. Okay, why is this important? Well, this is important because this short summary here is also the keywords that kits will use to actually search for product. Okay, so understanding manufacturer's lingo is also going to be part of what you'll need to do in order to access the products quickly in kits. Okay, I'm not saying that you'll need to memorize everything, but you'll need to understand how a manufacturer will describe their products. For instance, you can see here, they'll start off with the collection name, maybe the type of seat it is. Now, also the type of backing you might have. This is most likely short form for leatherback. Okay, and you can see what they do is they've created an abbreviated version of that. Understanding how the manufacturer uses words like this, or for instance, armless, okay, this probably indicates graphite in terms of the color. Okay, these are all important to how you can access the product in kits, because kits will actually search for these keywords based on how you phrase it in its search. Okay, so part of actually learning the product is also understanding the manufacturer's lingo. All right. Again, if you tap on details, all that's going to be is a regurgitation of what we just see there, because some manufacturers have an enhanced detail, but most actually share the same product description as you see presented there. You also get the catalog list pricing, okay, which is also important. All right. Now, again, this is all about understanding product, how I can learn more about it. Well, I'm in the Acuity collection series for all steel, and now if I flick left or right, I can now go through all the different products that are available. So here again, I can see that's leatherback, it's armless, looks like it's graphite, maybe graphite base, and then also I can see that it already has a dusk mesh applied. Okay, so understanding this also allows me to learn what products I have, especially when I'm working with my client. And for instance, if I'm face-to-face, we're working on a collaborative project together, and I start to go through the products that are available, well, then I have a good knowledge of exactly what these products are in case the client says, hey, you know what? I want a seat that has a light gray mesh back. And then, because I'm selling all steel right now, I know that this particular Acuity chair has mismesh that's in the back. And if I bring it into the scene, let's quickly specify it. Okay, and I bring it in. You can see there's a slight issue here because it's actually taking on the same upholstery swatch, but the idea here is that the mismesh should be applied automatically to that backing, and then that's what I can actually go with and sell to my client. Okay, so there's quite a few things that you can do. Now let's take a look at. Just remove this. Now let's take a look at going into a different category. For instance, let's go into desking and bridges. Okay, and here you can see, obviously, if I don't go into any one of these categories, here you can see I can now take a look at all the different products that are available in this particular catalog. Okay. Now, if I want to single out a particular collection, then what I can do is I can search for, by using obviously the product knowledge that I have of the collection that I need to search. But here, what I want to do is I want to look closely at Allsteel's approach line. Okay, here you can see I just put APP, and what it did was, because I know that approach is written in the summary, I know that by writing APP in the search will allow me to find any product that has APP within the model number or in the short summary. Okay, so now I can filter through, and I can see here that a lot of these items here obviously are missing graphics. But let's take a look at some of the case goods. Okay, so now I'm new to this collection. I want to see what's available. This is the reason why Kits is such a great tool, especially when you need to learn product, because now I can start to interact with all the different products that are available. I can see all the different sizes. I can see all the different options here, all the different back panels, modesty panels that I have. Okay, I can see what their connections are like. Okay, so this to me looks like, again, it's a back panel, and it has some type of connection here that allows me to run wiring. All right, so these are all different things that I can take a look at, and I could take advantage of, especially when I'm trying to find solutions for my client. Okay, now I may not know exactly how this gets all put together. So what I want to do is I want to learn more about this, and I want to start bringing product into the scene. All right, and now that it's in the scene, and this is the reason why Kits is the ultimate digital tool, is because not only is it going to allow you to access the catalogs, but it's going to allow you to play with the product. And here I can double tap, I can see what all the different options are. I can see that I can specify the casing, and then I can also specify the doors. And that's important because, again, if there's a particular look or finish that I'm supposed to comply with based on the project scope, then I know that this product is going to be suitable for a solution. Okay? So being able to find product, pull it up, and play around with it is so important to us learning about that particular product. Now, one thing that I love about this is, again, we have access to the catalogs and each individual product. But what I truly like is the fact that I can now open up the planning typical sets. Okay, these are all pre-configured layouts that I can present to my client as well. Again, we can learn more about the products by exploring what we have here. But what I truly like is being able to add these typicals in the space, ungrouping them, and now pulling it all apart. Because now what I get to see is how these typicals are made and what I need to do in order to create a successful layout such as this. It's allowing me to see all the different components, how they combine. The Snap to feature will allow me to quickly build these layouts. Again, if I need to know more information about the product, all I have to do is double tap on it. I can see here all the different sizes. Let me just, there we go. I can see all the different sizes, how this gets all put together based on the option structure. And I can truly begin to learn about being able to create these layouts for my client. Because the one thing that I do understand is a bigger learning curve with using Kits is being able to put product together. Okay, we're not asking you guys to be designers. What we're doing is we're allowing you to circumvent the different channels that you'll need to go to finding a solution for your client right away. Because we know that if you could fulfill a solution for your client that's done in great speed, then we know that, again, what I always like to say, time is money. We're cutting down the time that it takes for you to go through all the different channels in order for you to validate a project. And we're also cutting down the time it'll take for the client to fulfill the space in order to get that employee to making money for the company. This is all important to everyone being happy and truly being successful. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be the same situation all the time, but most of the time, if you can show the client that you can quickly turn around a project and you're not fighting against having to wait for inventory times or all that stuff, if you can integrate that all into finding a solution right away, then being able to turn around this project, saying to the client that, yeah, this is a great solution for your space, and we can turn this around given whichever specific lead times you work with. But the faster you can get that solution out to the client, the less you have to worry about those lead times. Okay? Again, you can see here, by exploding the typical, I can truly see how these components are all put together. Again, showing me that there are different ways, or really understanding how these items are used. Like, for instance, this wall access panel. Okay? Looking at it individually, I may not know where that goes or how it applies to an actual project. But now when I see it in a typical, then I get to begin to understand how it's used to make up the length of this base that's here, as this is a filler panel. Okay, so these are all things that are important for you to understand. And again, by playing around with the tool, understanding the product, playing with the product on your screen, also looking at the typicals, exploring the typicals and seeing how they're actually put together, will allow you to learn more about the products. Ultimately, what you can also do is you can also visit the manufacturer's website. Here all I did was tap on the hyperlink. Okay. It takes me right to Allsteel's website. I can take a look at all the different visuals of this particular product. I can see all the different ways of how I'm supposed to specify this. I can even look at some resources. So for instance, I can go to product configurators. Okay, I can see how their products are all put together. Again, this is accessing the manufacturer's resources. You already have access to all this, and so you can simply go to it. You can look at literature. You can look at planning tools. What I love to do is many times the pricing guides that we have, the PDFs that we have, also have broken down typicals. Or you can access these fully specified layouts from the website. What I like to do is I like to download some of these PDFs, and then I like to actually type in each product in the search and put it all together based on what I'm actually looking at in terms of the actual visual that I'm looking at. So this way, again, it's all about understanding the products, where they're used, how they're used, so that going forward, when I'm trying to find solutions for my clients, again, I'm not dependent on having to work with a designer to create a layout for me. I understand the product enough that I can quickly build a scene for my client and have them approve it. And then you can do all your validation afterwards. Whatever you need to go through in terms of the protocol you need to sell a project, then you can certainly follow those channels. But the idea here is that you'll be able to find a solution for your client and then work out all the necessary information afterwards if you need to actually validate it with the designer or with the customer service team so that you can actually lock that project down. Okay? All right. Well, I think that's pretty much it of what we needed to cover. So again, what you should be taking away from here is understanding that when it comes down to integrating kits to your daily workflow, the first thing you want to do is you want to acknowledge the type of salesperson you are. Are you client-facing? Are you a little bit more low-key and you're going to be working on these projects from your office space? These are all different things that you'll need to understand in terms of how you're going to use the tool to sell to your clients. Okay, obviously, if you're client-facing, you want to take advantage of being able to use all the presentation views to collaborating with your client, such as the full screen mode that I'm in here. I can flick through each project, or I can tap on the typical one more time so that I can have an unobstructed view of just these great typicals. Okay, or again, if you're a little bit low-key and you're going to be working on these projects from your office, you're going to want to know all the different things that you can take advantage of in terms of the best rendering, being able to create a better rendering, having to create documents, enhanced documents, whether you use the Kits Quick Sheets or you use some other third-party product. It's all about being able to create the product in kits, getting that visual you'll require to sell the project, and being able to put it together in a value-packed presentation for your client. And then you want to be able to make sure that you're syncing, or that at least the sync is part of your daily workflow, whether you're a power user, intermediate, or basic user. You'll want to set up when you actually do a sync so that you can ensure that you're using the device or you're keeping the device maintained, and then you're also keeping updated and using the app efficiently. All right, and then being able to use kits as a learning tool so you can learn product, understanding how the manufacturer describes their products is going to be key to you accessing products quickly, especially if you're client-facing. All this comes down to really the basics of what you need to know in terms of products and then being able to easily access that using kits.